Our next session is with Kanishk Mehta, who is the Senior Client Solutions Partner at Quantiphi. Kanishk leads the Conversational AI Go-To-Market strategy at Quantiphi and has extensive experience in building and delivering intelligent conversational solutions across multiple channels such as BFSI, retail, e-commerce, travel, automotive, healthcare, and more. He brings a unique perspective to the table with his proven impact in consulting and business process transformation. So Kanishk, welcome.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good to see you. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. I'll just start by presenting my screen.
Yep, got it.
Perfect. All right, I've just gone into presentation mode. Is it still visible?
Can still see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll get started. So today I'm going to talk about how you can transform your customer experience with conversational AI. And before we begin, let's quickly start with a quick introduction. So I'm Kanishk, and I'm a Client Solutions Partner at Quantiphi. I lead the go-to-market strategy of our conversational AI practice. And Jeff, you already introduced me there, so I won't go on further about that. I started my career as a data engineer, and a large part of my job was parsing conversational data, which led me to NLP engineering and design and machine learning and architecting AI solutions. And eventually I started building bots and virtual agents when Dialogflow was API.ai and Microsoft Bot Framework was in early alpha. If you're connected with me, you'll see me regularly post about conversational AI, NLU, open source software, and tech in general. So that's my background. At Quantiphi, we are an AI, machine learning, data and analytics solutions and services provider. We were recently chosen as a leader in the Forrester New Wave Computer Vision Consultancies Q4 2020 report. And we were also chosen as an IDC innovator for AI services. One of our key technology practices within the AI solutions portfolio is conversational AI. And conversational AI is what I'm going to talk to you about today. So let's get started. Okay. So early in the session today, we heard about the evolution of NLP and NLU and how it moved from keyword to grammar-based models to predictive modeling to machine learning and classification and semantic similarity. While the machine learning tech was ramping up in parallel, in 2017, products like API.ai and Bit.ai became super popular. And chat and social media platforms set up APIs for integration of these products, and chatbots became huge. In 2018, Google, AWS, Microsoft, and cloud providers launched their own bot building platforms and their own bot building tools and their conversational AI offerings. In 2019, Google launched Contact Center AI, and that was a solution integrated with Genesys, Avaya, Cisco's, the different contact center softwares of the world. And we saw organizations and enterprises start the adoption of conversational AI for improving their customer experience. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic changed everything. Contact centers faced unprecedented call volumes, and a lot of these contact centers shut down, and people were really suffering. And we're still adapting to the new normal. But during this time, we saw that virtual agents and conversational AI was a very effective solution to combat this problem. And the adoption of conversational AI was accelerated exponentially. And at the same time, we saw our customers increase their call deflection and containment and save up to anywhere between $2 to $4 million in operational efficiencies of their contact centers. So that really kick-started conversational AI. And in 2021, we've seen that evolve into not only the AI side of things, but also conversation design and customer experience design. So I'll move forward and I'll talk a little bit about voice-first conversational AI. Earlier in the session, I mean, all around we've talked about buzzwords in AI and machine learning and conversational AI and chatbots. So what is voice-first conversational AI is a question you may be asking, right? And how is it different from chatbots? There are three major principles that guide a good assistive AI and a voice-first AI solution. And this is how we categorize them, right? So the first is that a good conversational AI solution can deflect calls and conversations effectively and increase call containment. This is generally powered by intuitive, well-designed as well as engineered virtual agents. Um, and they do this by reducing the pressure and load on human and live customer service representatives. The second is good conversational AI solutions empower human and live agents. And they do this by tracking and sharing context, conversational transcripts, providing live suggestions, summarizing conversations, highlighting action items for the live agents so that they don't have to do all the manual mundane work. And the third is good conversational AI is data driven. It provides actionable insights into how it's performing, what are the customer sentiment, and where the AI needs more. On the right side of the slide, you can see some stats from Gartner reports around voice-first conversational AI. And the theme here is similar to what I mentioned a little while back. So after 2020 and the impact of COVID-19, we're already seeing a rise in the demand of voice-first conversational AI solutions. About 40% of the organizations and customers prefer and are adopting voice-based conversation virtual agents. And by 2023, this is only going to grow to 70% and higher. Organizations that have embedded conversational AI into their contact center softwares and platforms and omni-channel solutions are seeing about 25% increase in operational efficiency. And overall, even with our customers, we've seen greater than 15% decline in total spend on outsourcing at contact centers. Now, in general, what you'll also see when I talk about the implementations that we've seen across industries, first and foremost is that when you look at the financial impact that these solutions have had, you will see that there are some initial investments required, but the gains after the first quarter of implementation are so high that the solution practically sells itself. It's a no-brainer. In general, we've seen solutions exponentially increase savings and reduce operational costs rapidly, and then stabilize at around 65% year-on-year savings. And at Quantiphi, we use Google Cloud Contact Center AI and the Google Cloud Stack to provide conversational AI solutions and services. One more thing that I'd like to talk about is that it doesn't stop, deploying a conversational AI solution doesn't stop after the solution has been put into production. To accelerate your CX transformation, you have to make them smarter. You have to make your conversational AI solution identify not only the unrecognized utterances, the fallbacks, as we call them, but also the false positives, right? And you have to grow them over a period of time. And over a period of time, over the past 6 odd years, we've built accelerators that do this. And what you can see on this slide is across the virtual agent development lifecycle, the 3 phases: the design, develop, and manage. We have accelerators that speed up this entire process. A couple of other things that I'd like to talk about is that I'll go into our success stories, and I'll talk about our banking assistant as well as our real estate FinServe assistant. Now, these are live success stories from implementations that we've done with customers. The first one that you see, the banking assistant, was done for one of the largest banks in India, where we're seeing an annual call volume of 50 million calls and sessions upwards. And this is a voice-based virtual agent as well as a chat-based virtual agent. So it's omni-channel. It actually even allows for context handling and switching between chat to call. About 86% is the accuracy and the proficiency of the virtual agent. It has automated everything from the IVR perspective. So it answers questions regarding card statements, loss of card, address changes, etc., while at the same time authenticating users as well. It's multilingual. and it's integrated with Genesis intelligent automation in this case. And on the real estate and FinServe side, we have another virtual agent which intelligently handles user queries regarding real estate. Um, Here, what makes the virtual agent a little bit different for our customer here is that it's actually integrated with a digital human. In this case, it's Soul Machines, and it provides a personalized, touchless experience along with voice navigation. So this is something that I think earlier we spoke about in the session about the future of conversational AI. So this is another area that we are seeing conversational AI branch into is digital humans and digital avatars. Okay, I'll move ahead and I'll talk a little bit about um, the concluding argument here with conversational AI, right? So to conclude, we've started out, we talked about the evolution of conversational AI, the impact of COVID, how it accelerated the adoption of conversational AI. We also spoke about voice-first conversational AI and how that is the demand for voice-first is increasing every single day. We talked about how we need to make the virtual agents smarter and how we need to automate that process rather than having it a manual process on a day-to-day basis. And finally, we also talked about the financial impact of voice assistants and how we're seeing in general a 65% increase on year-on-year savings across our customers. And yeah, that's about it that I had for today. Last point that I'd like to put across is to begin your CX transformation journey. You can contact us. You can visit quantify.com, our website, or you can contact me and my contact information is up on the slide. I'll stop there and I'll hand it over back to you, Jeff, and open it up to questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. What you talked about adoption. What's driving this adoption? What's the top 1, 2, 3 things that customers are coming to you that you're not having to spend 2 years convincing, because that's not driving anything, coming to you and saying, hey, we need to do this for these reasons?
Sure. Great question, Jeff. So the first reason so I talked about the evolution of conversational AI and voice-first AI. And during the initial years, it was all about, reducing the operational costs, as well as increasing the efficiency. In 2020 is when things really shifted. Like I mentioned, COVID-19, the pandemic affected all of us. One of the public sector, or one of the state governments that we were working with at that time, their unemployment agency had a huge number of calls coming in. People were losing jobs. People were in trouble. So we saw at this point in time, conversational AI really getting adopted in a large scale. We saw these not only government agencies, but also healthcare providers starting to adopt conversational AI because it was allowing them to answer questions that constituents had, that patients had, people who really needed help, right? And then this also transitioned to banks, to financial institutions, to other industries as well, where people did not know what was the next thing that was going to happen, what was the process to move forward, and how they would need to adapt to the new normal. That was how it all happened in 2020. In 2021, we are adapting to the new normal. We're seeing that change happen where in some cases in certain parts of the world things have opened up, in other places things are still closed. But in general, the work from home culture, as well as the fact that people are no longer staying in one place or they're trying to avoid contact is still prevalent, right? And conversational AI really helps with that. Because now that the world has seen the impact of conversational AI, where we did not have an option, now that we have an option, there's still customers who want to go for conversational AI because that's the solution that helps them, number one, reduce their costs. Number two, make sure that the solution that they are providing is compliant to the different laws and systems that they have in place. right? And at the same time, it also makes sure that the customer experience is enhanced, right? Because you don't need to the agent churn is not a problem anymore. You don't need to keep training virtual agents from scratch. Once you build and deploy a virtual agent, it's trained on a certain data set. It's trained to
Right,
answer.
those are all the benefits for sure.
Yep.
No, I get that, and that's the kind of stuff that you try to sell.
Mhm.
But when you're trying to, I guess what I'm getting at is the deeper, more overall question of, like what was the, and I get COVID,
Mhm.
but it wasn't necessarily COVID. It was the world's response to COVID, right? That
Absolutely, absolutely,
created.
absolutely.
So what is the? Let me ask it differently. What's the? We need to do this because, maybe not why. We need to do this because. What was the realization that is driving adoption? Because something had to change. Especially banks don't
Mhm.
make changes. they're not leading the way
True,
in new technologies, right?
true,
Something is typically forcing large institutions to do something different. What's
true,
that? I guess what I'm trying to what's that thing that's forcing them that you're seeing?
true. So two things. One on the situation, which we've already talked about. So yes, the response to COVID-19 and the impact of that, and the fact that people could not, physically meet anymore. That's number one. The second was also the um, evolution of conversational AI, right? It has, when I say evolution, again, I don't mean that chart. What I mean is we've come a long way from where conversational AI was, right? Where it was hardly conversational. It was just rule-based responses. And now we're in a place where it's actually truly conversational. It's designed to be to improve customer experience, right? That's the second aspect. That's the second aspect. Those were the two things, and those together, what they did was they started, the adoption initially. And now, because of the fact that users or customers have seen that their cost is actually getting driven down, um, more and more customers or more and more institutions, more and more organizations are being forced, or they want to actually go into implementing conversational AI because of the fact that they're seeing this around them. They're seeing the fact that it's being it's improving productivity. It's similar to if you think about it, back in the day, you know tools like Microsoft Office, right? Where they became so common in the office workplace, and you're getting basically it was a what you see is what you get kind of principle, right? You have Microsoft Office, it improves your
Microsoft.
yeah, it improves your productivity. You can churn documents, etc., things like that, right? And similar to that, this is where conversational AI is at the moment. It's no longer in a phase where it's proof of concept. It is live, it's in production, people are using it, it's bringing down costs, it's real, and that's what's
Okay.
actually driving customers to
Okay.
adopt.
All right. There's the answer. Okay. That's the answer that makes sense to me. Salvador has a question for you.
Mhm.
How are you using soul machines in your solution?
Sure. So we are integrated with Soul Machines. Soul Machines has APIs that allow us for, at the end of the day, integrating Dialogflow and CCAI and our virtual agent with the user interface. The Soul Machines interface is deployed on the customer's website, and as well as their mobile app. And when a customer approaches the website, starts a conversation, they're first authenticated. Once the authentication is complete, the virtual agent actually starts engaging with the customer and solving the problem as
Okay. Okay.
well.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
This has been going on for the past 4 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, 6 months. 6 months.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So definitely less than a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. In the 1 minute we have left, is there maybe one example of an exceptional AI experience that you can share in a minute?
So yeah, sure. I mentioned about you know the state of Illinois, who we worked with during the COVID-19 pandemic, um, and where we implemented a virtual agent to answer queries that users had. And these were callers who were calling. They were really distressed constituents who needed their queries answered regarding, their unemployment and the unemployment claims and insurance and things of that nature. So this is where I would say this was probably one of the most exceptional instances where we've seen it drive real change, really help people. At the end of the day, they got their answers faster, and yeah, it really made a difference. So that's one area
Okay,
where
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
make a
good.
difference. Mhm.
That's good. No, it's always nice to say, look, we developed something cool. We made some money on it, and it really made a difference in people's lives.
Yep.
That's a cool
Yep.
thing to do. So
That's
hey,
that's
thank you so
absolutely right.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.